Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Miller-Merrell. I'm known on Twitter as Blogging for Jobs, and today I'm going to talk to you about some must-use tools to jumpstart your job search. Here's a little bit about me. I am a human resource professional. It's predominantly where I spend a lot of my time. I've spent the last 10 years working in HR as HR director, HR generalist. Basically, that person, when you submit that resume into, I'm typically the first one that takes a look and has some eyeballs on that. So I started a blog in 2007 to try to help job seekers. As a human resource professional in the corporate world, I really can't tell you why you've gotten the job. Normally, my attorney, the corporate attorney, and her counsel advises me to tell you the following. I'm sorry you weren't the best fit for the position. That's because we don't want to implicate ourselves and say something that we shouldn't, like, I'm sorry you weren't the best person for the job because you were old, or because you were African American, or just because you wore a wrinkled shirt to work. Sometimes it is small things like a clammy hands, a misspelled word, something like that that keeps you from getting the job. And so I wanted to help job seekers figure out why they didn't get the job and tell them the real reason why it didn't happen. So that's why I started the blog. And so now my blog is one of the most well-known career and workplace blogs in the world. We write every single day all about things related to the workplace. I want you guys to sit back and think about yourselves for a minute. You are a brand. And like any brand, it's really important to create a united but concise front about who you are as a professional in this working world. Here are some examples of some brands, both good and bad, that you see before you on your screen. We have here on the far left one of the most well-known brands in the world, which is Apple. Apple personifies creativity. They're interesting, they're hip, they're cool, but you can get the job done. There are brand ambassadors like me, I'm an Apple owner, who talk about their amazing products for free at no cost. They are really focused on the experience and in building their brand. Next, you see, if you happen to be a sports fan, this is Michael Jordan, Air Jordan. Millions of kids, certainly when I was growing up, spent a lot of money on shoes to help them get their air on, just like Michael Jordan. This brand is synonymous with basketball, with greatness, with winning, with leadership. And then on the far right, we have a brand that might not be so positive, and that would be BP, or British Petroleum. They were at the forefront of the oil spill last year in the Louisiana Gulf of Mexico area. In fact, the negativity and the negative brand persona that is tied to BP was so strong that they enlisted a team of social media strategists who sat around on Twitter and Facebook all day there to answer your questions, to talk to you about the things that they were doing to try to clean up the oil spill, because they felt so strongly about helping to improve their brand while also increasing and developing channels of communication to get right to the heart of the matter, which is the customers. And you can use different tools to be able to do the very same thing. You're not going to be as big as, say, Apple or Michael Jordan. Maybe you will, but likely not. But you can create some marketing strategies and some branding strategies and put them in place to be able to really make your brand pop and build a reputation for yourself. You are your most important marketing campaign. And there's some different pieces to that marketing campaign that are really important, and we're going to go ahead and talk about. But you need to think about the whole you, not just personal you or professional you, but both of them in tandem. Companies are increasingly using your online presence to help make a decision as far as if you're the right candidate for them to give a call and talk to you about a job opening, or as part of the final background check. Companies are using tools, outside agencies, to be able to verify and look to see if there are any red flags in place through your social media profiles, Facebook, Twitter, your blog, lots of other places, forums or sports websites that you hadn't even thought of. Your marketing arsenal is a piece of that puzzle. And that really starts with your resume first and foremost. And your resume isn't just your paper resume or the electronic resume that you send when you apply using your applicant tracking system. That's the computer program that you use when you apply at a large company that's online. It's also called an ATS. Your resume also includes your social profiles, and probably one of the most important and most used social profile in the business and professional world is LinkedIn.com. Use these together in tandem to be able to help develop your brand so that when you're applying for a job, the company can learn just a little more about you. Things like on your LinkedIn profile, including maybe recent books that you've read, any publications that you've been quoted in, and making sure that keywords and information about you is in place. That also includes the recommendations on your LinkedIn profile. Your cover letter is equally important because if there are red flags stated in your resume, things like gaps in history, maybe misspelling, maybe you're relocating, a human resource or recruiting professional can go to that cover letter to be able to determine what is going on with you. Why have you not worked in 6 months? Maybe it's because you started a family or you had to take care of an elderly loved one. Be careful how much information you disclose in your cover letter, but make sure that you answer any questions that a recruiter or a hiring manager might have. They only spend about 15 seconds looking at your resume. Not everyone requires a cover letter. Sometimes recruiters don't look at cover letters, even if you provide one, and that's okay because marketing and the tools that you put together aren't a one-size-fits-all for everyone. They need to be customized, but you want to make sure if somebody is intrigued by your resume that they can go to the cover letter if they have some unanswered questions. This is really your chance to shine. Your cover letter shouldn't be more than a page, and it really should be no more than 3 or 4 paragraphs. You need to work very, very hard to get your message across. Just like a billboard when you're driving down the side of the highway. The billboard isn't 5 or 6 billboards. It's normally 1. It's normally 7 words or less. Now, I'm not suggesting that your cover letter and your resume be 7 words or less, but it needs to be easily scannable and readable so I can get through the points that I need to touch in just 15 seconds. Next is your business card, which you see here over on your right. Business cards, so important. You need to have one with you, and you need to make sure that it resonates and it sort of emulates who you are as a business professional. One of my favorite business cards that I have ever seen and received was from a job seeker. She was an organizational development manager who was unemployed and looking for work, and she had developed a business card that said what she does was make pigs fly. She solves organizational problems by making pigs fly, doing the impossible. It was enough for me as she handed me the business card to take a look and kind of ask her, where did you come up with this? How did this conversation occur? And so 2 years later, that is my favorite business card still, and I'm talking to you about it today. Now, did I give her a job? No. But we took an extra 25, 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes to talk, and I could learn a little bit more about her so that if I knew if somebody was looking for a job that fit her specifications, they had something to fill, or I could pass her information on to other people within my network. Your business card is so very important for that. It needs to stand out because someone like me probably gets 600 to 1,000 business cards a year. I have my administrative assistant going to be spending all day tomorrow scanning in the last 6 months of business cards for me. Not his favorite job in which to do, but you really need to make sure it stands out because professional networkers, business people, people of influence who can help you in your job search need to have something to remember you by, and that starts with your business card. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get your business card designed. You can use online tools, or you can simply go to your local office store and get some business cards for really $25. We're going to take a look in more depth here about your social profiles because that's really where I spend a lot of my time is through social media. 36.6 million people in 2011 use social media as part of their job search. It is here to stay. HR people like me are looking at your Facebook. We're looking at your Twitter. We're looking at other places on the internet outside of just LinkedIn and your application that you sent in through my ATS. We're going to talk about those, and we're going to talk about some things that you should not do that could be damaging to your brand. Also want to spend some time and talk about blogging, because I think that blogging is an amazing way to establish yourself as an expert, if you are, in fact, an expert, but it's also a great way to give companies a little bit more information about what makes you tick, what interests you, and how, if you're out of work, or maybe if you even have a job, how you're bettering yourself, how you're growing yourself professionally, and sort of the thoughts and processes that you have about your area of expertise in whatever industry in which you work in. Here's some more facts about the job search that I think are quite interesting. 73% of recruiters in HR plan on use social media in their hiring process. They're using it this year. 80% of our job openings are unadvertised. We use our network. First and foremost, I will send an email or pick up the phone, somebody that I know that has a lot of influence, they have a lot of connections, and ask them, do you have anybody, or do you know anybody that's looking that might be the right fit for this position? That's why networking, either online or in person, is so very important. I personally think that you need to do both, because social networking is fantastic, but you're really just like the thousands of other people who are on the internet looking for work. So you really want to solidify those online relationships with phone calls, in-person meetings, email exchange, all of the above if you can. And those things take time. It's not something that if you're out of work this very moment, you're likely to get a job in 2 or 3 days simply through your network. But if you work to build those relationships over time, it can happen. I have a job seeker that I've worked with in the past. He was out of work for 18 months. And all we did was craft a very, very specific resume and email that we sent to 5 people. 5 people that he thought might be able to help him find a job. Guess what? He got the job. He, through his network, through those just 5 emails that were very targeted we sent to people within the community, somebody knew of an opening, and they were able to help fit him into that new position completely through that unadvertised network. I said this earlier, 21 million job seekers are planning to change jobs in 2012. That means the marketplace is very much in demand for highly skilled and qualified workers. As an HR person, what I see is this. You apply for a job, you might not meet the expectations. You clog up the application process, and you make it so much harder for me as the HR, the recruiting person, to fill that position. I might have one opening for somebody that I need 8 years of experience, and we need a bachelor's degree. 90% of the people that apply for that job do not meet the minimum requirements. This job market, even though we have 8.6 unemployment rate right now, it's still very competitive, as you probably already know. That's why social media and helping to build your brand is so important. LinkedIn is still the place of choice. I know you had Jason Alba talk earlier about LinkedIn. Recruiters go to LinkedIn first. That's their go-to place of choice if they aren't, or if they are posting their jobs on traditional job boards or in the newspaper or other places. They're using LinkedIn also. I want to talk a little bit about reputation management, because I don't think we often realize that people are reading our messages on the internet. I know sometimes I forget. I post something on Twitter about how I washed my cat, and then I find out 6 months, 8 months later, after I posted this one tweet about washing my cat, that somebody used it in a presentation of what not to do on Twitter. Somebody sends me a tweet to let me know. It's in another state, and they have a picture of my tweet and of my avatar headshot up saying, do not do this. Do not talk about washing your cat if you're a business professional. I disagree, but still, that could be damaging to your reputation. People are reading your messages online, regardless if they were intended for them to see or not. HR professionals, hiring managers are very savvy with how they're searching for people on the internet. This example that you see in front of you on the screen is actually a friend of mine. He's a friend on my Facebook, and here's what he says about somebody that he works with. Sometimes I just wonder if God is punishing me. Why do I have to have my desk so close to the most ignorant, annoying, loud woman on the face of this planet? 8 hours a day of this is enough to make a job as a crab fisherman seem easy. Now, what is concerning is he posts this out there, and then we have more conversation happening through comments. People can see, depending upon what your friend's security settings and your security settings are, they can go and visit those messages. So it's not just to the 100 friends that you might have on Facebook, but each of these people. And let me tell you that this was just 10 minutes that this was posted, but there were about 25 or 30 messages in about the course of half an hour. It's really important that you think, because if I knew that Josh was looking for a job and he had interviewed somewhere, I might go and check his social media profiles, particularly his Facebook. I would not hire Josh. This next slide is something that actually happened yesterday on the 6th. This is from a CEO at a restaurant that's a restaurant chain located out of Boston. And so this CEO saw this message that was posted on Twitter from one of their employees. This employee says, "LOL, my job sucks too. I work at this place called at Boloco on Newberry Street." And so the CEO tweets from his account that says, "Sorry, not anymore." Now, we find out later that this person did not lose their job. The CEO says that they were reprimanded and he was sorry that he tweeted the way he did in response to this woman's tweet. But it's really important that you remember that your boss, hiring managers, people that you work with, or companies that you want to work with are on social media networks. So unless you have an account that is private and is protected, other people can see your responses and tweet, even if it wasn't meant for them. Now, I am going to be writing about this on my blog, so I know that it will be covered, but other news outlets could pick this up as well. And so you could go from a relative unknown to someone who's in the media and in the press, simply because of a tweet that you've placed in 140 characters. This could be damaging to your job search. Certainly you could lose your job because of this. We don't want you to lose your job, but you know what? If you really don't like working here, I don't want somebody who doesn't like their job to be working at my place of employment. So we need to think about these kind of things. The last example I want to show you, and this is a picture of a woman who is, in fact, in a bubble bath in the bathtub. Now, this is not a friend of mine, but it's a friend of mine on Facebook, and this is actually her Facebook avatar. This is a picture, this is her avatar picture of her in a bathtub. I kind of say, ew. That's really my first response. I don't know if I wouldn't hire her simply because of this picture, but it certainly makes for conversation, probably not of the most flattering. Because if I see this on somebody's Facebook profile that I'm interviewing, it's likely that I'm going to show the hiring manager, and it's likely I'm going to show a couple other people that maybe are involved in the hiring process. And if we have two candidates of equal experience and liking, and we have to make a decision, this might be the picture or something that pushes it over the edge, which makes us say, you know what, I really don't want to hire Susan because I don't trust her, how she thinks about and how she uses her Facebook account. I'm a little bit worried. So I'm going to go with Bob over here. His Facebook account looks pretty professional, so let's go with him. So what does your brand say about you? Is it worth writing home about? Is it something that me as the human resource and recruiting manager should be impressed? Let's talk a little bit about your blog, because I think this is also extremely important. In 2007, I started my blog. Really, I was on a free site like Blogger. Blogspot.com is where I started, and it was really just to establish myself as an expert in the city that I worked in the industry, which was human resources. What has happened to me now is I am one of the premier bloggers in the space. It wasn't what I intended to happen. I'm certainly thankful that it has, but it can really establish yourself if you put the work in and build good content and have conversations. Now, the site that you see in front of you is something that I've had custom designed. You can certainly use free tools. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have a really great blog. A blog can really help you establish yourself as someone who understands the marketplace, the industry in which you work in. You don't have to have a lot of thoughtful conversation, but you can post periodically things that are happening in your industry. Maybe you're a safety manager and you want to talk about 5 ways to stay safe in your workplace. Sounds good to me. So you can talk about the importance of proper stretching, maybe making sure that your workplace is free of foreign items for slips, trips, and falls. You can write a whole series about these kind of things. It takes one blog post. It takes one visitor to read your blog post to give you a call and land a job. If you're in competition and it's between, once again, Bob and Susan, Susan has a blog. She's demonstrating her knowledge. She's showing her areas of expertise. I'd likely hire Susan over Bob because she's actively working to improve herself professionally and personally. She also can write very well, and we can see that in here. And writing is sort of a lost art. With texting being so very prevalent in the world now and how text messages are being used, writing is becoming a lost art because everybody writes with BTW, LOL, and all this shorthand. And I have been known to do it myself, post it in the email. I'll say something about BTW. Here's something that's going on in the workplace. Not everybody understands what BTW is, that it means by the way. And I've had employees, managers that I've worked with that have sent me an email that says, what is BTW, Jessica? I don't get it. Writing is a lost art. And email and communication is so, so very important, especially written in the place that we live and work. A blog can help you demonstrate your areas of expertise in that fact. I recommend that you blog at least once a week if you're going to have one, so that you can really be relevant with your topics, and make sure that you're writing more about your industry and profession versus about your job search. You don't want other people, other competitors, multiple companies that you're interviewing with to know that you've been unemployed for 6 weeks or that you are interviewing at multiple places. Stick to business topics that are relevant in which the industry that you work. My area of expertise and the place where I spend my most time on social media happens to be Twitter. And while I was on maternity leave for my corporate job in 2008, I had been on Twitter for a little while, and there really wasn't a great resource to learn about how to use Twitter. It is by far, for me, the number one way in which to network on social profiles and social media. We have a really great Twitter chat on Monday nights called Job Hunt Chat. It's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, always on Mondays, Job Hunt Chat. Basically, we have 5 questions that we post over the course of an hour. We talk about the job search process. It's job search information, resources from people who are in the trenches. We have HR, recruiters, career coaches that are present on the chat. We also have job seekers all across the United States and globally who are looking for work. It's a great way to network with other people through social media. It's a great way to start building your LinkedIn connections, recommendations, all these different things, and get the answers that you need right through Twitter using Job Hunt Chat. If you're looking to learn more about Twitter, I actually have a book that is called Tweet This, Twitter for Business, and I'm offering a free chapter for you guys to download of Tweet This. So if you would just go ahead and just put this snazzy little link in here, b4j.co/tweet this book, you'll get to my sign-on form. You'll be able to directly download the first chapter of my book, Tweet This. It gives you the business insight on how to use Twitter to be able to find a job, build a sales funnel with leads, and really be able to build your online social media reputation positively and through what I call the social media mullet. That's business in the front, party in the back. Your social profiles are going to be focused on business because that's what you're here to do. You're here to get a job. You're here to make money. You're here to grow your profession. But people need to see the personal side of you, and that's through small bits and pieces of information that you divulge over the course and throughout your social profiles. It doesn't mean you're posting pictures necessarily of your babies or your children or your maternity pictures, your sonogram photos. What it means that you pick a couple topics for your social media mullet and you focus on them. Maybe it's golf and football. Those are the things that you talk about and you choose to share. When you have focus on social media, particularly Twitter, it makes your job search and business networking so much easier to do. That way you're not divulging things like on Twitter earlier we saw with the young lady who worked at the restaurant. That could be really damaging to her current job. Likely she got written up. Also could be damaging for future jobs that she's looking to find. Here's a little information about me. You can check me out on Twitter at Blogging for Jobs. You can also check out my blog, and it's bloggingforjobs.com. I also have available for you guys at no charge a job seeker toolkit. I get asked all the time, how do I find a job, Jessica? How do I start? This is what I started blogging about 4.5 years ago. So if you click on this link here, you'll be able to get my job seeker toolkit, be able to take a look at some of the best blog posts that I've written and resources that I have available for you to be able to find a job. Check it out. Download a copy of the book